Hey guys, my name is Jayanka Ghosh. You guys might know me as Joy, and I'll be taking a session on a topic today. So I haven't prepared any slides, as you can see, because it's going to be an interactive session. I'm going to be showing you guys how you can utilize this in your day-to-day work, how it will be useful to you, and at the end of this, I'm also going to be showing you how you can extend the functionalities of this, and you can make your own tools which you might use later on, right? So first, coming to the topic, so unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure that all of you are aware of what is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT came out, I think, about November or December last year, and in the last 6 or 7 months where it is here, it has taken the world by storm. I'm sure all of you will agree to that. But why is that? What makes ChatGPT any different than, let's say, Google? So all of us are used to Google. We type our things which we don't want, which we don't know, not don't want, and we search it in Google, we get the answers. That's how we've been doing web searching and web browsing for quite a long time, right? So how does ChatGPT make anything different or anything? How is ChatGPT better than Google? Why are people so obsessed with this one tool, right? So before we jump into that, the first thing I would like to say is, what is ChatGPT? So all of us know ChatGPT is an AI model, but so is Google. Google is also an AI model. So then how is it different than Google? So one way it's different than Google is the way they are programmed, or rather I would say the way or the purpose they solve is a little bit different. That is where the main power of ChatGPT comes in. So for example, Google is something where you type a specific keyword. Google searches the entire history of all publicly available websites and web pages all over the internet, and then it gives us whichever it thinks is the most accurate match to our search keywords. ChatGPT, on the other hand, if you actually go into the technicalities of it, ChatGPT is sort of like a predictive search or a predictive text-based AI model, right? So where does that make it different is Google checks everything which is there on the internet and then decides whichever of it matches the most and then shows you that. It might be wrong as well. Whatever Google is showing you, it might not be the most accurate, right? But in case of ChatGPT, you can say it has a mind of its own. Somehow, in some senses, it has a mind of its own. What does that mean? That means even if you search for something which no one else has ever searched for, which does not exist on the internet, but if that is, so this is again coming to a technical point. If you, let's say, me being a Magento developer, I will take that as an example. So let's say I ask it something about Magento, which was never asked before ever by anyone. So in that case, Google in most cases will still suggest something, but that might not be accurate, or that might not be complete. That might not be something which is useful to us. ChatGPT, on the other hand, it has access to everything which was public, I think up to 2021. After that, it doesn't have knowledge of the latest events in the internet. But with the knowledge it has of the data which is available to us till 2021, ChatGPT will be able to think and make an answer for you. So that's the first and foremost and the most powerful difference, I would say, which makes ChatGPT in some ways superior, is that it can think and it can make an answer for you, whereas Google can only suggest answers by someone else. So if it's something completely new, chances are Google will fail. This, on the other hand, will give you more or less the accurate answers, right? So I think that's more or less it about the introduction. So now let me show you a couple of things which you can do. So I'm sure most of you would have used ChatGPT at least once by now, but if you have not, then let me just start by saying that the URL is chat.openai.com. So if just head over to chat.openai.com, you log in, create an account, and this is the screen which you will be seeing. So there is a paid version, there is a free version. I'm right now using the free version, which more or less solves most of our problems, right? So why chat.openai.com? Why not chatgpt.com? That's because ChatGPT is built using one of the already existing GPT models which OpenAI has worked on. So in a way, ChatGPT is like the brainchild of OpenAI, and it is using behind the scenes an already existing AI model which OpenAI has already released long back, but this is more powerful in ways which I'm going to show you right now. So firstly, again, being a Magento developer, let's start by asking it something very simple, but I'll show you how ChatGPT sort of tackles that problem. So let's say I type something like write a Magento service class to take the customer ID as an input and return the total number of orders of that customer as output. First thing you can see, it's not a very technical statement which I've written. It's more or less like how our project managers or how our scrum masters give us the tasks, right? So write a Magento service class to take the customer ID as an input and return the total number of orders of that customer as output. So it can be very simple. You don't need to be very technical with it. Just make sure you explain the problem to ChatGPT in a way you would rather explain to a colleague, right? Or your senior, whoever. And now you can see in the output which is given, first thing is it created, I said to create a service class, so it did create a service class, and then it created a function inside that called get total orders for customer, and like I had mentioned, it has taken the customer's ID as an input, and then it's loading the customer by its customer repository, it's loading the orders which belongs to that customer using the order repository, and then finally it's returning the total count of all the orders, which I did not ask it to do. I just told it load the customer's orders. These things, these information is something which you can say in a way ChatGPT thought about it and then came up with the answer. So how do I load the orders? Using the get list of the order repository. How do I load the customer? Using the customer repository, right? So in that way, I would say one of the things which makes ChatGPT more powerful is that you don't really have to pinpoint what you want. One common problem which I have seen with my team as well as myself is if you're searching in Google, if the problem, this is a pretty rather straightforward problem, but if the problem is a little bit more complicated, in that case, chances are if you do not search for the terms exactly, very properly, which again comes with a lot of practice, you might not know how to search in Google, right? So for example, a very classic example which one of my seniors had told me was that if your laptop is heating up, let's say your laptop is heating up and you want to know why is it heating up. So you might ask laptop, or let's say the brand of the laptop as well. So Dell laptop overheating troubleshoot. If you type something like this, chances are you'll get the proper answer. But if you type my laptop is getting very hot, I cannot play FIFA 23 anymore, please help me. In that case, again, you're saying the same thing. A human might understand what you want to say, but Google might not. Your answers might not be accurate, right? Here, this sort of closes the bridge. You can talk to it as a human. It will give you the answers as a AI, right? So that's pretty cool if you ask me. So that is one of the things. So you can ask it to make code, and it need not be only Magento. It can be any technologies. So let's say write a Node.js script to let's say connect to MySQL and fetch all the entries in the table customers. Not really a Magento based scenario, but I'm just trying to show that it is capable of writing code even when your description is a bit abstract, and even when the languages can be JavaScript, Python, Java, PHP, anything. So anything which ChatGPT is aware of. Like I said, 2021 was the last threshold. So after that, if a new language came up yesterday, obviously ChatGPT might not know it. But other than that, most of it, you can see it wrote the code. I'm not going to verify it, but I'm assuming the code is correct. And then it explained the code as well, what it did, how it did that, and how it's working, right? So that's one of the use cases. You can ask it to write code for you. Second use case is, let's say you've written a piece of code. So for example, let me just open up a piece of code which, let's say I have written somewhere. Let's go with Uh, let's go with this one. It's a simple code. I'm not going to explain to you what the code does, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the code here and I'm going to ask, can you explain what this does? And then I paste my code here. So now I asked it to explain the code, not only write the code, it can also analyze your code and it can tell you. So if you, this again, the use case, a very common use case is you're trying to debug a new extension. An extension has some sort of issue and you don't really know what is the issue. So for that you try to debug the code, the source code of the extension where it's very convoluted. You have no idea what is happening. Ask ChatGPT, chances are you'll get a very, and it's so neatly done even with bullet points and everything. It has told you exactly the command pool class has a private property commands, which is an array of command interface objects. Constructor of the command pool accepts the command interface objects. Get commands method returns the array of commands. The get command method takes the command ID as a parameter and it returns that object if it's available. So the code which I gave it was straightforward, but trust me on this, even if your code is very complicated, very convoluted, lots of loops, lots of conditions, if else switch, all of these, ChatGPT can handle it. I'm sure you can ask ChatGPT and you'll get a better idea what your code is doing. The other thing is, let's say you have written a piece of code. Let's come back to some other file like this one. Again, I'm not sure what it does, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, can you optimize this code? And I'm just going to paste it. So not only analyze, not only come up with code, it can optimize your existing code as well. So you can see it analyzed your code and it said that remove the unused dependencies and add the type hints and that will give you an optimized code. So this is the final code which it is writing after optimizing your code. How cool is that? So you don't even have, you write a code, your team lead comes to you, scolds you that your code is very bad, optimize it. You say, okay, I'm going to take 1 hour to do it. Copy the code, give it to ChatGPT, do it in 2 minutes and then play PUBG on your phone, I guess, right? So yeah, this is another very common use case. So till now we discussed ChatGPT can make code from your description of the code. ChatGPT, it's groundbreaking, it's cutting edge, I agree with all of those. But behind everything, ChatGPT is still, like I said in the absolute beginning, a predictive, text predictive based language model or text language model, right? What that means is, even though it can talk to you as if it's very intelligent, it has all the knowledge in the world, but at the end of the day, even though we are using the terms like think and analyze and optimize, it's not really doing any of those things, okay? What it actually does is it has a library and a huge, and I mean a huge amount of data of Magento codes, which it can see, analyze, and since it's an AI machine learning model, it can learn from all of those code how code is supposed to be. And based on that information, it is doing the analysis, it is doing the optimization, it is doing the generation of the code. Why am I telling you this? Because it might seem like magic to you, but it's not. And because of that, whenever you are doing something with ChatGPT, which, so let's say you're supplying your code to ChatGPT, or let's say you are taking the code which ChatGPT has given and put it in your source code, always be very careful, okay? At the end of the day, this is a machine and it's a dumb machine, okay? If you ask me, it's pretty dumb, even though I know I am sort of contradicting what I had said before. I said it's very intelligent and now I'm saying it's dumb, but that depends on the use case. It is intelligent in some cases, but it's not as intelligent as a human, right? So the only advice I have for you is use the code, no problem, but don't blindly copy and paste the code. Instead, take the code, analyze it yourself once, use your common sense, and chances are the mistakes which it has done will be minor mistakes that you can fix, and then you can sort of reuse that code like how you would. So what I'm trying to say is just treat ChatGPT as a colleague who is very smart, but sometimes he gives you dumb answers, all right? So, and I'll give you an example of this as well. So let's say we have, so this is something I actually asked ChatGPT, and I'm going to ask the same thing to you guys as well, okay? Mary's mother had 4 children, January, February, March, and what is the name of the fourth child? Go ahead, tell me. Mary's mother had 4 children, January, February, March, and Mary. Mary's mother has 4 children. January, February, March is irrelevant. I said Mary's mother. So, Mary. I asked this to ChatGPT, it said April. And then I explained this to ChatGPT, I am talking about Mary's mother. And then it said, oh, really sorry, apologize for the mistake. Let me correct my answer. The answer of the names of the 4 children are January, February, March, and April. So I said, I just proved it to you that it's not April. Very sorry for the confusion. Let me reanalyze. It took a few seconds. I finally gotten the name of the 4th child. It is April. So what I'm trying to prove is I'm not undermining ChatGPT in any way, but what I'm trying to say is even though it's a very cutting edge AI model, it can be dumb at times. Use your brains. That's all, right? So I think that sort of covers the first part of what I was trying to explain. The second part would be, now like I said, ChatGPT is one of the products of OpenAI. OpenAI also has behind the scenes, like I said, one AI model which it is using. I think it's GPT-3, which is free, and currently GPT-4 has also come up. So it is using GPT-3 right now as the AI model to make all of these work. But ChatGPT is one of the products. OpenAI has given you the freedom to actually use their AI models to make your own ChatGPT per se. You can call it whatever you want. But what I'm trying to say is you can extend this. It need not be an interface inside this ChatGPT. It need not be restricted to this. You can make your own models as well, and you can utilize those any way you want programmatically. So it gives you the APIs which you can use. So now we're going a little bit on the technical side. I am going to show you. Let me open code base. So let me just show you this file which I have written. It's pretty straightforward. It's in Node.js, but you can use, like I said, any language you want. It's the APIs which matter. Okay. So this is a very simple code which I have written, and probably after this session I can share this code on our website as well, so you can download this and you can see how it works. But basically what it does is it takes, okay, let me first show you what it does. Maybe after that we can see how it works, right? So this is a very simple tool which I have created. I'm guessing you can see it right now. So this is a very simple tool which I have created where you can, so once I invoke it, there are a couple of bots which I have created before. It's showing the names of those bots. So these bots are, each individual bot is like your very own ChatGPT. It has its own way of thinking. It has its own way of answering. Okay. And then we have created a couple of bots, and then on the first option you can see make a new bot, right? So let's say I choose any one of the bots. So I have chosen one, which is Danny. Now it's asking me to talk to the bot. So let's say I say something like, hey, how are you? Then its reply would be, how am I? I'm feeling alive. Let me just move it a little bit this side so you can see it. So it said, how am I? I'm feeling alive. My spirit is thriving. My heart is thriving. And my soul is thriving. And I'm ready to take on the world with a smile. A little over the top for a simple how are you. But like I said, each bot has a very distinctive way of answering. When I created the bot Danny, I gave it the instruction that you are a poet. No matter what I tell you, you should always respond with poetry. So I asked what? It said, what do you mean? Do you not understand? My words are true. My feelings are too. My heart is open. My story is spoken. Amazing, a little over the top. But you get the idea. So now I have created a bot of mine. I've called it Danny, and I've given it the instruction to talk to me as if it's a poet. Similarly, this is not really a real use case in a technical scenario which we might face. But a good use case which I can give you is, similarly, you can create a bot. Let's say you have a Magento store, and in that Magento store you have a couple of products. Each product has description, name, meta, keywords, all of that thing, all of those things. You can feed all of those information inside your bot, and then you can maybe use your bot as the search engine. So instead of people typing the name of the products correctly for it to come in search, your search would be powered by AI. And not only any AI, it's powered by ChatGPT. So you can search for anything in any of your products. The AI will find out which product suits you best and suggest it. Okay? We haven't created something like that. I'm just giving you as a use case. It's very much possible. All right? So now coming back, since we know how this works, if I come back to the code, it has a lot of lines. It looks very complicated. The only line which you should be worried, I mean not worried, the only line which you should be concentrating on is from here to here. Basically, if you know Node.js, you'll understand we are making a fetch request, we're making an API call to OpenAI's APIs, and we are passing the body in the format it wants, and that is giving us the response. So the code which I have written does nothing. Step 1, it creates the bots, saves the bots. I'll show you the bots as well, how I'm saving them. And then whichever bot I have selected, it sends that bot's memory into OpenAI, and then it asks the questions, which whatever I'm typing, it's asking those to OpenAI, and the bot, I mean the OpenAI's engine does all the work for me, and it gives me the response, which I'm just showing on the screen. Yeah, so pretty cool. Now you might ask me, how are the bots saved? So let me show you the Danny bot itself, you'll get an idea. So first thing which you can see is all the conversations which I had done with Danny are all saved here. But on the top, the first thing which you can see, the description section, this is the first thing which the bot sees. So this is what shapes the bot's DNA, if you will, right? So whenever the bot came alive, the first thing I told the bot is, you are a poet who can create poems based on the words that are spoken with you. No matter what I say, reply only in poems, which is why that's what it's doing, and it's doing a pretty good job at it, and it's replying only in poems. Yeah, so like I said, the code might look a little bit convoluted, but I'm guessing I'll put this up on our website sometime soon, and then you can play around with the code yourself. You can make your own bots and like enjoy the powers of ChatGPT as you will, but responsibly. Okay, I think with that, let me conclude today's session. Thank you.